during Corona, despite the fact that Japolo is shaking the head. You want to tell me how there was scams and people? Those are individual people who stall. But there was a response. There were updates. He did not wait for 70 people to die for him to even call a single press conference, just saying, sorry, do this. He didn't have to wait for 70 people to die. So William Ruto lacks leadership.
Okay.
Can I say
Mzalendo
something
seems
short
not
before
to be
bringing
agreeing with you. That's one moment, Pontifex. Mzalendo has been quiet for some time. Mzalendo seems not to be agreeing. I can see him really almost.
Okay. Just a
for your
minute before
throat.
Mzalendo comes. There's something that if I don't address, I'll forget. A good year is telling me Ruto inherited Uhuru's worst performance. I want to make it clear. Mzalendo, I beg you to agree with me and support it. When Uhuru Kenyatta was the president, William Ruto was a deputy president, and they fell in the 8th year. This man called Kipchumba Murkomen was the majority leader for 8 years. He was ousted in the last 2 years. Adan Duale, who is currently the CS defense, was majority leader in the National Assembly for 8 years uninterrupted. Justice Muturi, the current advisor, was the speaker for 10 years uninterrupted. He only changed. So these are the kind of people who are there. This Kimani Ichung'wah was in charge of budget committee. He was the chairman of the budget committee for how many years? 8 years. So do you want to tell me that this country was ruined in the last 2 years?
Oh, okay, Leo.
Interesting question. Mzalendo,
Leo, you have a very pregnant point there, lastly, because
very loaded.
You need to be right. What you're trying to say is that you can't blame Raila for being with the Uhuru in his last terms as a president. But what I may ask you, what necessitated Murkomen being removed as the majority leader, and what necessitated the other removals? So was it politics or was it for good governance?
His question is very valid, Mzalendo. If you listen to what he has asked you, Mzalendo, just a moment. If you listen to what he has asked you, he has only told you that in the last 2 years, that's when they were removed from their positions. Now, his question is very valid. Does it mean that the problems began the last 2 years? In the first 8, was everything okay? Didn't we have debts? Didn't we have issues? Was the president working with the deputy blind? Those are the questions he's asking.
I was jogging him back I'm jogging him back to his thoughts that when William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta took government, I remember one Raila Odinga saying that hii serikali inaendeshwa na mlevi na conductor ni nini? Na conductor ni mwizi. Ni mwizi. So I wanted to jog you back and realize that the mwizi was still the president in the last 2 years. So if you say that the problem started in the last 2 years, the problem might have been a long time ago. So Raila Odinga, did he come with a remedy for government? I don't think so. He only was enjoying taxpayers' money. What did they realize in the 2 years that they were in government or in partnership with Uhuru Kenyatta? I think by and large, as I told you, Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila were just spreading their nets as politicians to capture what he didn't have. So when Uhuru captured the imagination that is a good leader from the Luo community, then he was contented with that. He wanted to break that jinx. He had good intention. I would say that Uhuru had good intention at some point. He had good intention to break the jinx and say, my father did a mistake. We will need to rectify the mistakes of my father. But the bottom line of the problem of Uhuru Kenyatta was BBI. The bottom line of the bipartisan talks that we are talking right now is BBI. The bipartisan talks, what it has given birth to is is a twin, is like a twin brother to the BBI document, only that this time it is smaller, it is more clearer that the politicians want what belongs to them, and that is the taxpayers' money and offices that they need to occupy. Kenya government collects a lot of taxes, and these taxes don't belong to me and you. These taxes belong to the politicians. That is why they are creating offices for themselves. So when you are saying that Uhuru Kenyatta's regime was perfect, I'll tell you, no, it wasn't perfect, because the minority leadership then criticized the same government in equal measure that they are criticizing Ruto's government today. So bear in mind, it is all politics. It is all politics. At the end of the day, the kings always benefit. The king is Raila Odinga, the king is William Ruto, and the other king is one other than Kalonzo Musyoka. And now there are small kids on the block like Wetangula and Mudavadi. So each and every time, wanatupanga na mumekubali kupangwa. So what do we do as citizens? That is why I agree with Randall. We should not be lamenting and complaining. We should wake up and realize that, you know, this is a game. This is a game, and we are the pawns in this game. We are the small soldiers in this game, protecting the king and the queen and the empire. So when we protect the empire, we protect them with what people like Kinaleo are saying, with what everybody who supports any other political divide is saying, but who is talking about the issues of the common man. The issues of the common man is only talked about when it is convenient for the politician, when it is only convenient for the politician. That is why they are guarding the BBI talk. The BBI talk is perfect. And what we are not even saying that the term limit of the presidency is already increased by the bipartisan talks. That has not come up with the Jake's talks. The term limit has been discussed, that the term limit for the president is actually, with 5 years, is not good enough to implement the projects that he wants. The term limits is now recommended to 7 years. Those are the recommendations that they all agreed to. They all agreed that whether Ruto is bad, but we should give him some more years. So what are we saying? What are we saying as Azimio? I told you Martha Karua and Kioni were on their way out. They were on their way out because, one, they were not included in the document. Secondly, the handshake happened a long time ago. The handshake happened a long time ago. Yet we are taken to this political discourse that we are having a negotiation, we are having blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it is them who benefit. At the end of the day, there is nothing for you and me. The rate of unemployment of the youth is still the same.
Okay.
Does it talk about?
Okay, interesting submissions, Mzalendo. Interesting submissions. But before I even come to Mzemboro, let me ask you this. At one point, it was said that the cost of living is a pertinent issue in this bipartisan whatever. Do you feel that Mwananchi was used, as Mzalendo is saying, just like a pawn, just for him to push the government so that the government agrees to form a committee, and now this committee has been formed, but the issues that now they are agreeing on are only meant to benefit the big man politician, while the Mwananchi, the common man, has been sidelined, has been forgotten. Despite him suffering right now with El Nino and other challenges, Mwananchi has been forgotten. This party, whatever, national dialogue, whatever, was it for Mwananchi really, from where you sit?
Jeff, can you allow me 1 minute, 30 seconds? Mburu tafadhali, 30 seconds. I just wanted to send Asante Mburu. I just wanted to say, responding on Leo, he started with this whole thing with Ruto, why we are comparing you with Kenyatta. I told him the constitution gave me 5 years. Okay, now you're telling us this 100 days. It was just the other day when I think Mato was here and Jex was asking what will be Ruto's legacy, and I told them you can't compare somebody who has been in office barely 12 months with somebody who was in office for 10 years. Okay, now Leo, again, to answer your question about Kenyatta, Uhuru, let me make this very clear. Uhuru Kenyatta was the worst president and is the worst president in the history of humanity. I'll repeat it again. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is the worst president in the history of humanity. Okay, I have bottomless contempt for that man. If you haven't forgotten, let me remind you, this man did not respect the constitution. Okay, he forced his way out. He shot one of the Supreme Court justices. Okay, before he imposed himself in his second term. Okay, he forced Mike Sonko out of Nairobi by bringing that general to Ninio unconstitutionally. Okay, he forcefully, okay, exiled Miguna out of the country because he was protesting against him. Okay, he shot youth who are protesting and killed people who are protesting against his rule. Now you're coming here and telling us that Ruto was these people and they had no power. Nani was ruling with iron rule, and he will even kill you if he had to. So I get really, my blood boils when I hear people say, let's compare Ruto and Nio. Ruto had no power in Uhuru Kenyatta's government. He has absolutely no power. Remember when they kicked him out when he was in Mombasa? That was his vice president. He brought in Matiang'i, the fat-headed, useless,
Kenyan revolutionary. Listen.
So don't come here to compare us with that criminal. Uhuru should be hanged in committee. They're not allegations.
Miguna right now. You see, Miguna wasn't interested in coming back to Kenya. Miguna likes drama like you. He wanted to create.
Are we serious? Are you like serious right now? You need to take a drug test. Are you serious right now?
No.
Like we forgot.
I'm telling you
Leo.
So when you want to bring
Leo, you need to be drug tested.
Right.
Miguna is a content creator. You can't discuss Miguna when people are discussing serious issues.
I think that is not right. Miguna was within his constitutional right to be a Kenyan, and it is pathetic for you to understand the situation the way you're bringing
So,
it.
Anyway, let me finish. So it was Jeff's time. It was Jeff Mburu's time.
I told you right now.
It was Mburu's time. Let me finish. It was Mburu's time.
Okay, I'm giving you.
Let me finish. Let me finish. I'll let you speak.
If you give birth to a child, you'll have to pay 1 million for that child to be a Kenyan. So that one.
Okay.
And the case of Miguna. So who is worse?
Okay. What? Hold on for a second. Wait a minute. We can oppose. We can be unhappy about the policies and the rules, that the laws that Ruto wants to bring in Kenya right now, and we can fight those laws constitutionally. He hasn't broken the constitution. Uhuru said, I don't give a damn about the constitution. I'm the king of Kenya and I will do as I please. And the conman Raila Odinga, after he was paid with his big stomach, was sitting there, was not saying anything. Now 5 years later, he wants to stand up and tell us that it's doing nini. He wants to be in it. Stop pretending.
I understand you could be angry, but
anyway, so Jeff Mburu.
Just one moment.
Raila Odinga.
I understand you could be angry, but also as well, this program is highly rated. So let's also mind the words so that we don't end up being told that we use a very vulgar language in our show. So
calling Raila Odinga is not abusive. Calling Raila Odinga conman is not abusive. He's a conman.
Correct, but a big head is an abuse, and a big stomach.
He has a big head, but does he look skinny?
Correct. But
does Matiang'i have a small head?
It's relative. It depends. It depends.
Jack,
Big
I
is
think you
relative.
need to make it
Probably
clear.
if compared to your head,
I know
probably.
we are allowed to address people and
The next thing you'll be
express our
abusing me that
anger.
I'm fat.
There are people we need to respect. They are statesmen.
Leo,
Matiang'i is a statesman.
Leo, you're not
Matiang'i
helping.
is a statesman
You're just
that
pushing
needs to
it.
be
You're just
respected
pushing more.
within or without
You're
the
pushing
country.
it more
That is
worse.
Dr. Matiang'i.
Yeah. I think
Leo,
Matiang'i is a
Leo.
statesman.
But can I say
Japolo,
something? I've listened.
yeah.
I've heard you. I just want to say that. Yeah. Do you know? I came to Kenya with a expired passport during Uhuru's time.
Yeah.
I was actually arrested.
Mm-hmm.
I was arrested and put in jail
What?
at the airport.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to have all the
But then
Kenyan
again,
news,
how
the
did
media
you bother?
coming after why?
How did you bother plane knowing quite well that you had an expired passport? I'm sure you would have been sorted out at the immigration office.
He was traveling home. Why do you need a passport when going home?
Thank you. Now, Jay, let me explain to you for those that know.
You don't need a passport when you're going at your home.
No, you don't.
That is misleading.
If you're
You need a
returning,
passport
if
whether
I
you're
was to
going
return
home
right
or out
now,
of the
You don't.
country.
You don't.
How?
Let
Let me ask you a
Leo, can you
question.
give me some
How
space,
will
please?
just one moment? Just
Mboga,
one
please.
moment,
Thank you.
ladies and gentlemen. Just one moment, gentlemen. How will the immigration department, those working at the airport, how will they know you're a Kenyan? How?
Now, let me tell you this.
How? Let's imagine you have no document. Let's take what you're saying to be true, that you don't need a visa or a passport to enter Kenya.
Okay.
How will they know when you're a Kenyan?
Let me show you the full picture. Let me show you the full picture.
It was on your end to renew
here,
your passport on time.
I was here and had my passport expired. I could go to the Kenya embassy, which I've done before, have it renewed. But I decided to Google, and I Googled information on returning back to any country with an expired passport. It says if you're returning home to your own country, because it's a sovereignty of that country, you have the right to travel. So I went through Heathrow, they didn't say nothing. They didn't even stamp it. I went to Istanbul, Turkey. I landed on Turkey and I moved from there and I ended up at Jomo Kenyatta Airport. When I got there, the guy looked at my passport, he stamped it, the old man, who I'll call my uncle, who I'll look as my father, who I look up to, and I'll be like, I've come home. So I feel like I'm home. I should be embraced. But instead, when he stamped me and I was just about to go away, and I said to him, by the way, that passport expired. Do you know what he did? He said, wait there. He went and called the police. Then they put me in a room and locked me in that room and they took my passport away from me. Then they pulled me back out and they asked me, how did he get here with his passport? I said, what do you mean? How did he fly here to Kenya? I said, through a plane. He says, this guy playing me now. I said, no, I'm not playing you. I'm saying it's obvious. What are you trying to say? Your passport expired. How did you come to this country? I said, this passport belongs to this country. I come here to renew it. You work in the airport should know the immigration laws yourself. So the man took me somewhere, put me in a room. Two white ladies who were traveling to South Africa gave me the telephone number to call outside Kenya. Again, always embarrassing that my own people deny their own. They deny their own color. They deny their own look. They even deny their own blood. Your own father, your own mother. A stranger have to help you out. It is very sad. It's not a laughing matter. It hurt me. So I had the immigration officer of Kenya herself turn up and say, how did you end up getting locked up and who are you? I said, what do you mean? I've had phone calls from people from America. I've had phone calls from people in high offices in Kenya. Even the media are calling me in the middle of the night saying that you've been locked up and they want to know why. I said, listen, I ain't got nothing to say to you except to say I'm a Kenyan and I'm proud to be here and I don't know why you're ashamed to have me. It's an embarrassment. Give me my stuff and let me go.
I feel
the same person that called the police on me ended up taking me outside, walking me outside, and he had the audacity to tell me to give him £1 or $1. He had the
Where is Leo?
to ask me for money.
Bring Leo back.
Leo is in the house. Leo is in the
He's
house.
Hiding.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the show is becoming hot, and we are here. Sorry, my brother Randall, for that ordeal. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Good year, I see you. Clavens Kireta, I see you. Dunia ina mambo, who happens as well to be in the show. Karibu sana. Good to see you. Baada ya kupotea, karibu sana. Now we have 2 mwanampotevu. Now Mboro is no longer mwanampotevu. Now we have Dunia ina mambo. He officially takes the position ya mwanampotevu. Karibu sana. Dunia ina mambo, siku nyingi kaka, karibu sana kwa show. Wewe pia ambao unatazama, karibu sana sana sana. Asante sana kwa wewe ambao una subscribe, wewe ambaye una subscribe to Afric 24. Google hapo kwa YouTube Afric 24, very simple, Afric 24, na una subscribe alafu unatuzwa na wana Africa wamekuletea vitu hot very soon utakuwa unaona vitu kali in many other platforms Stick around to see what is happening. Namuona Geoffrey Ruto amefanya ile kitu, asante sana. Namuona Chef Gasa amefanya ile kitu, thank you so much. Onyango Fwamba, asante sana. Douglas Gikenyi, asante sana. Polo Guna, asante sana. Festus Lawyer, asante sana. Kawera Kezia, asante sana. Jamana Jita Mutai Kipkoril, asante sana. Thank you very much for liking, subscribing, and being part of this awesome conversation. With me, I'm having able gentlemen, but this is not just a male show. Even the ladies are equally invited and are equally part of this conversation. Namuona Penyaga Kamejaja, Dunia ina mambo akondani, Randall akondani, Pontifex Maximus akondani, na mwana Jeff Mburu pia na mzalendo mwenyewe wamejaja. Watu wanajichocha na issues kali. Topic tunayo ya kishua, we are discussing the bipartisan talks ambazo zimekuwa concluded. Ripoti iko nje na watu wana discuss matokeo. Na kuambia the last 1 week matokeo imekuwa ikidisappoint wa Kenya. Matokeo ya KCPE ili to disappoint. Matokeo ya ripoti nayo ndo hii. Kenyans tumeachwa nje, walitudanganya, wametusaliti. No wonder the title, no wonder the thumbnail. Karibuni sana, wacha tumakinike kwa hii show. Okay, let me give these 2 gentlemen wenye wameingia saizi at least a minute or 2 tupe story mbili kulingana na jinsi wanaingamua mada. Dunia ina mambo, how are you? Uko vipi?
Niko fiti kakaangu, asante sana. Habari zenu?
Karibu sana. Siku nyingi, natumai mzima.
Niko mzima, alhamdulillah, nashukuru Mwenyezi Mungu. Labda nyinyi?
Sisi tuko salama, tushukuru sana kukuona. Ripoti yako unaiona vipi? Ripoti hii ishatokea. Baada ya wewe kutuambia tutoke nje tuandamane, ripoti nayo ndo hii.
Mimi nilikwambia utoke nje muandamane.
Kusema tu. Wewe unasema uwezi andamana unless
Ndio kusikia maoni ya huyu mtu. Ngoja sana nisikie. Hao ndio watu walizika watu.
Go ahead.
Anaogopa hata sura ionekane. Hii ndio ile ilikuwa kondele ndani.
Haya, kitu iko kwa sababu unaongea juu ya report umetoka. Hii report the first time hata mambo kukaa chini kuongea ilikuwa ni wasting time. Hiyo ndio kitu tulijua ni wasting time. Kwa sababu hakuna kitu alikuwa anatoka nao mpya. Hii ni kama BBI nyingine walioenda kutengeneza pale. Kwa sababu hakuna kitu yote walikuwa naenda kuja nayo. Kwa sababu hata ukiangalia sasa hiyo wakuja na hiyo report, wakose kuja na report. Maisha bila iko inaendelea kupanda bado. Maisha bila iko inaendelea kupanda. Kwa sababu sasa hiyo report imeguza nini? Hatujui imeguza nini. Watu wameanza kusema tumerukwa, tumepangwa, ulipangwa kitambo. Na bado unaendelea kupangwa. Na bado tuko na 9 years bado tunapangwa. Hakuna kitu hapo utangoja bado umeshapangwa na unapangwa na utaendelea kupangwa. So hata ukivumulia kukula kiburi yako, ukikula matusi yako, ukikula kichwa yako ngumu, ni wewe ndio unaumia. Na wale wao feel kitu, unajua wao wanakaa board wa feel kitu. Sisi tunakaa hapa Kenya ndio tunajua. So hata ikikuja na fujo nyingi kutokana na watu hapa, kujeni Kenya, rudi hata wiki moja tu. Wiki moja tu. Hatutaki kukaa siku nyingi, hatutaki pesa yako iche. Kuja tu wiki moja tu. Salimia nyanya yako Christmas.
Atanyoa hadi nywele.
Salimia nyanya yako Christmas alafu rudi.
Atanyoa hadi nywele.
Hata wengine wanatukana watu mdomo kichwa kubwa, mdomo kubwa. Ajiangalie kwanza kwa kioo. Zake ni ndogo. So lazima tujue kila kitu vile iko. Wewe kuja tu Kenya tu wiki moja, tutaki mambo nyingi. Ni Christmas tu. Kuja tu Christmas. Kitu moja tu. Tuliomba Mungu, El Nino hakuna, tunaona vile mambo yanaendelea. Sisi tunaendelea kuomba. Unajua sisi nchi ya Kenya ni nchi ya watu wa Mungu. Hata president wetu pia ni mtoto wa Mungu. So kila kitu kitakuwa sawa. So hii mambo yenu inapiga kelele kwa social media uko nje. Sisi tunashukuru, pigeni kelele, supporteni, pingeni, lakini mimi kitu nawaambia rudieni tu wiki moja tu. Sitaki kukaa hapa wiki moja tu. Tuma hata mtoto wako, alafu mwambie akuchukulie video, aulize watu, hata wewe usikuja basi. Tuma mtoto wako au bibi yako. Wiki moja tu. Hata kama wiki ni nyingi, siku 3. Ni hayo tu.
Okay. Anaitwa Dunia Ina Mambo, na kweli dunia yake nakwambia imejaa vituko na mambo. Asante sana Dunia Ina Mambo. It's always a pleasure to have you. Na mwanapenda kaka na
ulikula pilipili for breakfast.
Nyagaka, I hope umemute TV.
Habari je?
Karibu sana Nyagaka.
Asante sana. Sasa huyu kijana Dunia Ina Mambo amesema maneno mzuri sana. Na namuonanga kwa watu wengine, sikujua anazungumza namna hii. He's very 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 educated gentleman. Lakini mambo ya airport ni ya kitambo sana. Wengi tumetravel in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s. Ni early 90s nilikuwa natuma watoto nyumbani na hawakuwa na makaratasi ya Kenya. Nilikuwa nataka wapate karatasi lakini wakanipatia kwa embassy, wakanipatia maneno mingi. Hivyo nikawatuma. Wakifika Germany, nilikuwa nafanya na ndege. Wakifika Germany wakakatazwa. Sasa ilibidi nipige kwa embassy ya Kenya Germany, ilivyo waache waende nyumbani. Wakifika nyumbani wanaambiwa warudi kama in a week to straighten out their papers because they had American passports. Kaambia mama yao watoa Kisii, hiyo ni kitu kingine, unakuja hapo Nairobi kutafuta. Kwa hivyo huyu mheshimiwa ambaye anatueleza ati aliambia huyu mzee passport yake ime expire, alikuwa anatafuta maneno. We are a third world country. We are not like with the European countries that we come from. There is a reason for that. Hivyo if you go and you don't have the papers, unaambia embassy wanakupatia karatasi, you travel very well. Why should you try to test any resolutions? Hata ukirudi hapa America ama any place in the European countries, you will not go there and say you are a citizen of that country and they let you in. They will have to have certain things to prove.
Please do not talk something you don't know. Thank you very much, Benina. Thank you. Do not talk about something you don't know.
I know very well. I've traveled to Kenya a lot. I know a lot.
Your issue. Don't talk about you. I didn't talk about you.
No, your issues are childish. Was about why are you going to test those people?
We're mnaribu.
Why you test
please.
You come to focus on me. This is not my show. It's not my channel.
Okay, what then the other man in Ogide? What then the other man in Ogide?
I have no idea.
What then the other man? What then the other man in Ogide?
Nyagaka, very haraka. Hapa America umejua vizuri, hata kama nikitoka saika sina passport, nikitoka Europe, nikiingia America, all I have to produce is the ID what state I'm going to. Ukirudi nyumbani, kama unarudi Kenya, going to you don't need a passport if you're entering your home country. Okay? Kama wewe ni Mkenya narudi Kenya, what do I need the passport for? Passport is if I'm going to another foreign country. What is my reason why I'm going there? Am I in transit or am I going there with you? You don't need a passport to go into your own country. That's all I want to say.
Revolution. Nikiangalia passport yangu when
just a moment Nyagaka. Yes, Mzalendo. Yes,
I need. You know, these are sentiments with people who have got who encountered the experience. Nyagaga encountered an experience. Randall and the experiences are different depending on the fellow you find at the migration office. But what does the law say? I think the law is what should be guiding us. What does the law say about entering your country? One, you need, if you have an expired passport, you need a temporary traveling document showing that you're going back to your country, and a passport is a requirement. Listen at what the law says. That is the law. It doesn't matter whether you're a Kenyan or not. It is the law. If you are, I want you to look at the laws of the country and the laws of immigration. The laws of immigration says that you need to identify yourself at the point of entry. How many people would be saying that they are Kenyans and they come from the UK? How many? It's just common sense. You need some documents to identify that you are a Kenyan. Who would know that Randall is a Kenyan?
Okay, that's why I'm okay. Mzalendo, just
you need something to show.
You're right. Mzalendo, let me respond real quick. You're right, but I'm saying this. If I have a passport, an expired passport, and I'm at the Kenyan point of entry, Kenya, I'm going back to Kenya, okay? That's all I have. The Kenyan government can see that this passport is an identifier. It identifies me, but it's expired. My citizenry, they can't question if I'm a citizen or not because the passport is expired, yes, but it identifies me and they can verify in the system that I'm a Kenyan. That should be good enough because I'm going back home.
It is your passport, your fingerprint, your biometrics is tied to so many things. Your criminal life, to your everything. Before you leave any country, that is why you have those biometrics.
If you're going to a foreign country,
that's what he pointed out. He said to you, you show the document. So I had the documents, my name, my information, which was registered on his
Mr. have an expired passport. So that is the law.
Muzalendo, besides that, I went into the country. They wanted to confiscate my passport because they believe it was fake and I was Jamaican. Now, Kenyans have things they can come up with. If you tell me to control the show, everybody's idea, I'll go crazy. If you tell me to walk around Kenya because it's normal to be naked, I'll go crazy. But if I do not know my laws are right, I'm stupid. I'm not stupid. Thank you very much.
Just one moment, Wadau. One moment. I feel Rando's issue. I truly do. I feel you. I agree with the sentiments that everyone has different challenges, and of course, it was wrong for Nyagaga to downplay it. But then again, we are discussing the issues of the bipartisan. Of course, I understand those travel documents are important. What you guys are raising are important. Maybe we need to prepare for that in our subsequent shows because we need to know the rules of traveling, why people are being harassed at the airport, among many other challenges, right? But for now, if you all allow me, let's continue with the show so that I can as well allow Nyagaga to finish his submissions and we can move on to the next point. I don't know if that is in order. Nyagaga, go ahead.
I've gone to Kenya several times without my passport being expired, but I called the embassy and they sent me a letter. And then when I go to Nyayo house, I can change that. I never tested them like, do you know I travel this way, that way? No. But come on, you feel comfortable doing that? Go ahead and do it. Commerce of Kenya, Commander Apple, is a waste of time, a waste of everything, because we just elected the new members of parliament to do exactly that. Now, why do you form another group so that they can tell us? They can tell those people who won the elections how to raise the money, how to do this, how to do that. That was a waste of time. Na hiyo tunajua Raila Odinga is used to it from 97, kaja na Moi, na Kibaki, na Kenyatta. All these are the same game plans. Tuone ya kwamba it will not amount to anything. kwa sababu hiyo kitu ambayo Mashamba, Ruto agrees with ati wafanye office ya official opposition. Ni kitu ambayo he spoke the other day in London, one of the think tanks, either Oxford or Cambridge, and he said exactly that. But we thought he was playing. But those are ideas of a parliament. We are not a parliamentary democracy. We are a presidential democracy, kama Upper America. So if they are going to talk about changing the constitution, it's the same thing that Ruto disagreed with when he disagreed with the other thing that I don't know what they call it, that Kenyatta and Odinga were doing. So we cannot agree with any of that. That's a parliamentary democracy. You do support. That's what he supported to begin with during the constitutional time. It's a parliamentary democracy. So he's trying to bring it through the back door, and we should never agree with that. Upper America, say for example, the Seme Yamwisho revolutionary, you do not know who is the leader of the opposition here. But guess what? At the end of next year, when they are voting in, they will find out somebody that will either lose to Biden or win from Biden. Yangu Tuni Kusema Jex, it's always good to see. And people like do diligence wanazungumza dunia ina mambo, wanazungumza vitu ambao ni mzuri sana. I mean, let us keep this up, and I hope I don't disappoint a lot of people, but let us share our ideas with everybody. Hayo tu nilikuwa nataka kusema. Thank you.
Beautiful. I see many participating hapo kwa comment section. Brother Benson Media, BBM, hapo kwa YouTube. Follow that young man. He's doing wonderful hapo kwa YouTube. Brother Benson. Follow pia jamaa anajiita Dunia Ina Mambo. Wanafanya vituko hapo kwa YouTube channel. Namuona Real Talk. Real 2K Real Talk TV. Pia yeye ako ndani ya YouTube. Subscribe to their channels. Let us keep this conversation going. Not to forget the mother of all. Mama yao wote ni Africa 24. Subscribe to Africa 24. Wacha tufanye ile kitu. Asante sana kwa wale wana subscribe. Naona mnafanya mambo. I hope mazawadi zitatosha kwa sababu subscribing to Africa, just subscribing, unajikwatulia mazawadi kemkem. Subscribe. Very soon we'll be announcing our lucky winners. Asante sana. The show must go on. Okay, Mboro, you have been quiet for some time. Before I give Pontifex, Mboro, you have been quiet for some time, and you have
yes, sir. Almost forgetting how you had already asked me a question.
Like. Yeah. It was your time. We skipped you, but now go ahead.
Yeah, you had already asked me a question, which I can't even remember what was your question, because after that I have heard so many things. It seems like today I'm the only sober panelist here. I have heard how people are going to the neck of each other, and I decided to keep quiet and just listen. Having said that, I want to start with the question you asked, because I have remembered. You have asked whether all the things that were happening and what the Azimio team was saying when they were calling the Maandamano, whether those were the real issues or the reasons why they were doing whatever they were doing. And I want to say this, that it is very bad for the politicians when they know exactly what they want, but they opt to hide behind the people. And they knew very well that what they had on the table was not going to get support internationally and locally. Because if people knew the reason why we are doing all this, or we are being told and asked to go to the street, is all about handshake, or all about our leaders joining the government, they would have declined, or they would not have been motivated to risk their lives. So, and I told people, because we have been having this show, even then we still had the show, I remember telling the people, there is nothing like the cost of living. It is all about Raila Odinga being in the government or occupying a higher office and his people. That was the bottom line. That was what we were fighting for. And I don't know why the supporters of our political leaders have not studied their kind of politics. We saw what happened in 2007. We polarized our nation. We lost properties. We lost lives. We displaced people from their homes. The people who were supporting all those shenanigans, what did they gain after that? Because that is how people learn from their past mistakes. After all we did, you know, Jakes, I even took my time to go to Uganda. I went to Tororo to visit the refugees, people who had run away from Kenya. Why? Because the politicians decided to polarize the nation. What was the reason? Because Raila Odinga has not been announced the winner. To me, that was so unfortunate. It was so unfortunate. I normally say, and I have seen the proposal which has been made there. Mzalendo has talked about the extension of the time limit of the president from 5 to 7. I would say because we haven't shown maturity, political maturity in our country, it should even be made 10 years without these 5 years elections, because we polarize our nation. We destroy our economy after every 5 years. You can imagine we work very hard. We pay taxes. We build infrastructures. We market our country as the best tourism destination. Then within a blink of an eye, fire everywhere, tires everywhere, people fighting, tear gas everywhere. You know, that is what we have made our nation to look like. So I want to tell people, it is good to learn from the past. When I saw people risking their lives, facing the police with stones, stoning the police, how dare you stone somebody who is holding an AK-47? And when you are shot, you say the government is not fair. As if the government has a control to the person who is holding the gun. I'm assuming I'm the police, and I'm holding an AK-47, and you stone me, what will I do? So some of the things that happen in Kenya, sometimes I wonder whether it is a movie. Sometimes I wonder whether people love themselves, you know, because if you really care about your life, there are things you cannot do. You cannot put yourself in line because somebody wants to occupy a higher position. Having said that, Jakes, it is very unfortunate that our institutions become good only when they rule or they act in favor of Raila Odinga and the team. Anytime they don't do that, we vilify them. We say they are not competent. Right now, I heard after the ruling of the Supreme Court, they said that we have the most incompetent court in Kenya. But during Maraga time, when Maraga ruled in favor of Raila Odinga, Raila said, at least we have one institution, which is the hope of Kenya. Why do you have that double speak? Because it should not be that all the time things must go your way. The body, the electoral body, we vilified the electoral body. We fought Chebukati and the team simply because he has not been announced the winner. It is good to be ambitious, but also it is good not to be over ambitious. It is also good to know that when you go in a competition, somebody will win and somebody will lose, and that person might be you if you are in the race. Having said that, let me come to you, Mr. Leo. You said that maybe it was a by the way, but you said that the government made so many promises, and the government has not fulfilled any. I dare say, if you become the president, if you cannot be accountable to the words, then you would be the worst president, because we have this information all over of what the government is doing. Like now you said that the government of William Ruto talked of the affordable housing and none of them has been built. Is it true? Are you privy to that information? Are you sure that there are no houses being constructed right now? We should be truthful and tell people the truth. We should always do the research.
I'm sure.
So that when you come to the media, now you will come, Leo, you get your time, you rebut. So you tell people the truth. As we tell people, our leaders to be accountable, we should also be accountable to what we speak on the media. So I want to say this. There was a headline which I saw on that newspaper which Mr. Jakes was reading, that the crash of the bipartisan or dialogue talk, because Mother Karua has differed with it. And I want to say that the fact that people have different views and opinions does not mean that the dialogue has collapsed. No, people are at liberty to have different views. And I want to believe at no time shall we ever reason together. That is why we come here. I will differ with some people. I will agree with some people. And that is the nature of human beings. At the same time, I would like Kenyans to know it is all about everything. Politics is all about interest. And sometimes it is selfish interest. Like now, I don't even want to think we should even be wasting time talking much about Mother Karua differing. And those are people who are trying just to gain relevance. Because what weight is she having? If today Raila Odinga and William Ruto says that this bill is good, it is going to pass, whether she accepts or not. So she, whatever her views in this matter has no weight, because it is all about the tyranny of numbers. Mother Karua politically, she is just trying to remain relevant. She knows very well that she has lost the ground. She is politically dead. I don't know how she will revive herself. I can tell you, she is politically finished. Because even if today we are to go for an election, I don't think Raila Odinga can choose her to be the running mate. So politics is all about interest, and we will have people differing. But what I know, if Raila Odinga says the proposal that has been made by Kalonzo and Kimani are good, they will go through, because it seems they agree with the president. And that is how we shall go. Somebody said that Uhuru Kenyatta was a good president. I think it was Leo. They encouraged many of Azimio people to come in the show so that we can have a heated debate on some of these topics. I'm really trying not to enter into deep politics, because we only have Leo here who is really disagreeing with me. But I want to say that Uhuru Kenyatta, when I analyze his politics for the first 5 years, he seemed to be sober somehow. But after the handshake, after joining with the Baba, he felt that like now he has become so powerful, and he could not listen to anybody else, because he knew his support and the support of Baba. And now he knew everybody in opposition and the government are the same. So he decided to rule with utmost impunity. That is why he never obeyed any court order. That is why he could not listen to any leader. He could not even, and that is how he lost his own ground, because he became so arrogant. So not only that, apart from disobeying the court orders, it's like now he became the role. He was ruling like a king. Many court orders. Even where it was in black and white, he knew what he was supposed to do. He said, I can't do it. I can't swear the judges. I know they are not right. I mean, that was not his work. There were so many things that he was doing contrary to the Constitution. So when I listened to revolutionaries saying that he was the worst president, I have never seen another president chest thumping himself like Uhuru Kenyatta. And I don't know, maybe with the new proposals, maybe in future would like to come back into politics. I don't know, but I can tell you for sure, and I am saying this knowing that Rio today is telling us how Uhuru was good, but he has never voted for Uhuru. For me, I was queuing in the line at 5 to vote for Uhuru, not only queuing, even campaigning for him, just like I did with William Ruto. So when I say that he lost track along the way, I am saying that knowing that I supported him, but I didn't like some of the things he did. You had the controller of budget saying that he was authorizing her to release the money against the procedures. The only problem I have is even the current government has not taken time to say we need an audit on how the money which was released against the procedures was utilized. So I think there is a big problem in our country, and it's the high time we start obeying the Constitution, following the rules, and the government of Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga together, it was the worst government anybody can ever wish to have in Kenya. That is what I can see.
Thank you. Jeff, before anybody else talks,
Leo, you have been adversely mentioned.
Before I forget,
Leo,
just allow
you have been mentioned severally. Go ahead.
I only need 3
Leo,
minutes.
go ahead.
Number one, Jeff, the fact that I've never lied to vote for Uhuru Kenyatta doesn't mean he is a bad person. There are people who are married, but that one doesn't stop them from admiring the neighbor's wife or unmarried lady outside there. So that's a fact. Number two, I cannot say Uhuru Kenyatta was the worst. You know, worst is a superlative form of comparing adjectives more than, unless you tell me you are comparing Uhuru Kenyatta and who. Because if I'm comparing Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, you'll find that those what you're saying is not true. I know, and I never voted for Uhuru, but I can tell you, I know there are some issues. Somebody is going to talk of arrogance. I don't know. He never obeyed some of the laws. But when you are given some leadership responsibility, it comes with power. And power is equated to authority. If you cannot exercise authority and control, then you are not worthy to be a leader. That is why people like Alonso are normally called watermelons. If you are a leader, you need to give leadership. People need to follow you. You don't need to follow people. That is why Uhuru Kenyatta showed leadership when he failed to follow the people of Mount Kenya. So let those people not follow you, but as a leader, you see those people who religiously follow Raila, you have to follow him. As long as people cannot follow you, you want to start following people, then you are not a leader. Just fail as a leader, but don't fail that you are following people. So Uhuru Kenyatta did a lot, and I can tell you, as far as development of this country is concerned, yes, there was a lot of corruption. And you've asked a good question, why Uhuru Kenyatta have not been held accountable, because we know very well he's not in good term with maybe the current president. They keep on telling you in funerals how they found an empty account, yet you know very well the government doesn't have a savings account. Money is collected daily and spent daily. They will tell you how Uhuru Kenyatta stole money and stored in foreign accounts. They will say it. And they are government with the power. They have judiciary. They have the prosecutor. But they will do nothing simply because those are stories. And if it is true, then they were also involved in stealing. That is why they cannot summon Uhuru. That is why they cannot take any legal action. Jeff, if you steal something, and I know very well you steal something and I have power, and I'm so sincere and I want to prove that you stole something, I'll bring you to account for what you did. Then I just, before I forget this issue of affordable housing, as a matter of fact, these affordable housing that people are being deducted, not even a single coin has been spent to build even a bathroom in these houses. The affordable houses that are continuing are the ones that was started during the time of Uhuru. So what Ruto is doing, actually, and that one, irrespective of which side you support, the one there, they're the ones that already started. And I'll tell you how they were building it. Somebody was saying, yes, Uhuru did not collect tax to build these houses. What happened? They entered into agreement with the private actors like the HFC, the Housing and Finance Corporation. So these people built these houses. Are you together? They invested their money there, so Kenyans were going to pay for them. But this one for Ruto that you Kenyans will have to pay is when they build. It is not going to work. And I'm telling you, once the ones that were started by Uhuru will be completed, no new house will be built. You can take it to the bank. Uhuru Kenyatta did some partnership with private organizations that built for us the expressway.
Listen, yes. One moment, so as not to misquote some things. Number one, there are houses that have been started in Ruto's regime. I can cite for you several. One, it is in Langata, where just one moment, relax.
My friend, that house, when was it tendered? Don't say that launching something, the process of building something, a government does not just wake up one day na wanaenda kuchimba mjengo.
Rio,
These things
Rio,
are
allow me now to play clips for you now that you want us to do.
Rio,
If you want us to go that direction, allow me to prove my point.
I want to discuss things
Rio,
that are real. Yes.
Rio, it is only fair that you wait to be informed.
No,
so
that
that as we inform you, we can inform you. You see, don't just be talking from your mind. Talk from the point.
Mzalendo telling you that Gladys Wanga built a stadium in Homa Bay, Raila Odinga Stadium in Homa Bay. Yet we know very well the stadium was built by Awiti. Wanga just came and painted and did the finishing and launched it and opened it. So let us not get into that. Let us be factual.
Fair enough.
No,
before
you know.
How long have they collected that money? How much have been collected to
one
moment.
Leo, you're right, but you're misleading. You're misleading almost. You're doing a good.
Everyone, because of your biasness of what you believe. William Ruto, together with Jalash, if you remember what caused, and this information you should know.
Okay, where did that money come from?
Listen.
From which department did that money come from?
If you can only listen, you'll understand.
The story you want to tell me is a political. Those are rhetoric stories. Ruto with Jalash. Which Jalash is an MP?
Rio, can you wait?
Because you don't want to hear, allow us continue.
Had they collected that housing levy by that time?
Can you allow us to talk?
Had they collected the housing levy by that time? When was the first remittance for the housing levy done? That is what I want to answer me. When they go to Langata, did they collect that money? It has not even been passed.
You're right. Leo, suppose you are right.
Leo, you are right. Leo, you are right. Let's
right.
Allow us to massage your ego. You are very right.
Saying, just a minute. You are saying that you brought, like Mzalendo saying that Gladys Wanga built the stadium in Homa Bay, courtesy of Raila Odinga, but the stadium was built in by one Awiti. I don't know when a building is complete and commissioned and opened. I think Gladys Wanga completed the building that was started by one Awiti. So do we give credit to Awiti or do we give credit to the person who completed the building?
Just credit to the concept of the building.
Yeah. Who do we give credit? Who do we give credit? The person who completed the stalled project or the person who initiated the project?
Stalled. It was in the process. It wasn't stalled. It was in the process.
The project is complete. Who do we give the credit to?
The person who allocated money for the building and started building it.
The person
was that person allocating personal money?
No, wait. The person is no longer the governor for Homa Bay. Who do we give credit to?
Was it personal money or public
funds? I think there's something you're not getting.
No. Anyway, sometimes it puts you in a very awkward position to defend the wrong things. All right, try to defend the right things. I want you.
One thing I want us to agree on.
Jake,
this housing levy, they started collecting it after passing the 2013 Finance Act. The Langata houses you are telling me were done before that.
Correct.
So this housing levy has not been built with this money Ruto is telling us. This money
up to that. You are correct. You see, up to that point, you are very correct because the matter is still in court. Up to that point,
so
you are very correct. Just one moment. The only problem that your point now becomes wrong is where you now say there is no other house that William Ruto has begun. I can tell you for a fact, not just in Nairobi, even here in Nakuru, houses that were not there before this regime came into being, they have begun. I can cite with evidence if you want me to. I can play videos. I've given you a very good example. Why Jalango had a fallout with your party ODM. is because one time he said, I have gone to State House to see mahali zile stories za nyumba zimefikiwa. The other day, before even the president read the State of the Nation, he visited the site. We have clips. Before it was just a flat ground.
That day, they tendered, they drew the design. You know, you guys, let us not reason like, come on.
So according to you, how long does it take to design a house? How long?
No.
Engineer Leo, according to you, how long does it take to design a house?
This is not a Simba that you just sit down. There is a procedure. Things need to be approved. Land need to be acquired.
How long? How long does it take?
Somebody. It is a process. It needs to be gazetted. So the president sat down one day. I refuse to
engage on that level.
No, I can't buy
I
that
refuse to
idea.
engage on that level. I refuse to do that because what you're having is a personal biasness. And that one we cannot argue here because by the end of the day, I cannot convince you. You already have an opinion on that. But let's
and you see, the bad thing, Leo, is that you have Google. You have Google in your phone. You can do research.
Those are the houses, my friend.
That is the problem.
Those are the houses in Mboga. Those are the houses in Mboga, Mr. Leo.
Yes.
Those are the houses in Mboga.
So when did they acquire that land and start the process?
No, that one.
This was the first thing that Uhuru. This was the first thing. If you remember correctly, this was the first thing that.
No, this is not. This is not Eldoret. This is not Sugoi. This is Mboga, where you come from. That one is called. You see that mountain up there? That one is that hill up there. That is a symbol of Mboga. It's called God.
No, we are not arguing. We are not talking of the place. Tell me which man is building this one. Is it money from the housing fund? That's what I want to know.
Those are people.
I know it is people. They are not animals. Tell me which money is building this house. That is what I want to know.
Leo, what is your problem? Is it the money
Can I
or
tell
the
you,
project?
Leo,
where is your problem?
Do you listen to news? Because in this financial year, the government released $36 billion for the affordable housing construction, and it was all over the news.
The government released.
Did you get that information?
Housing or the levy. We are having, no, you people are not getting. We are having what is called the housing levy that we were told is going to build for us the houses. And you're telling me the government released from which?
So your problem is where the money is coming from, or your problem is that the houses are not being built? Which is which now?
Okay. All in all,
are we in agreement that the houses are being built under this regime?
Tell you.
This was the question I was asking Leo, because I'm the one who wanted you to clarify. I wanted you to clarify to the people. You said that there is no single house that has been built under the Ruto regime. Now, I wanted you to tell us, do you have that information? Because don't talk about what you don't have, what you don't know. Tell people exactly what you know.
Okay. There is no single house that has been built by William Ruto's housing, the levy, that housing levy. There is no single house that has been built by it, built and completed, or even.
Where did you get that information from?
So what is taking place is the previous agenda, the Big Four agenda. Those are projects, the continuation of the Big Four agenda.
The money is still being collected. The money is going towards paying the loan. It's still being collected. That money is going towards repaying the loan for the affordable housing. What are you saying? I mean, don't take us to
Zelenda, sorry to interfere, but this is the thing we're talking about, lamentating. Leo Nyambo, you keep going in circles. Now, for me, there's two things I kind of noticed here. There's a development. Number one, that's productive. That's positive, regardless of all this. So the Kenyan pointing me this out, Jake and, Zelenda and everyone pointing this. I did not know this. 6 billion going towards that building. and being started is okay. You yourself said it does not take one day to build Rome. You don't plant a seed today and harvest tomorrow. But if you see the plant is growing, then you see it's got greens, then we're in the right direction. If it's still dry land, then something you got to question, what's going on here? So they pointed out to you, a place has been built, number one. The money has been reported out as 6 billion. And where it comes from, I don't know if it's your concern or not, but yes, it's questionable if they have the answer. They have, but you cannot continue to say that Ruto has not done nothing. If you want to do your research, you do so. But they gave you the evidence.
Listen, Randall, I agree with you.
I just want to stay on that positive side. Can we carry on? We're building more houses with the money for the levy. If we're paying taxes and it looks like something is real, is happening over there in Mboga where you live, you should be happy at the moment. You have something happening. Okay, you're moving. So I just wanted to point that out.
I agree with you. What I'm saying is this. What Ruto is doing is a continuation of a foundation that Uhuru Kenyatta did. So somebody has told us that Uhuru Kenyatta is the worst. Kenya is having a defense training that was built by Uhuru Kenyatta. Recently, when this colonial king, Charles, came, Ruto had to go and visit the museum that was built by Uhuru Kenyatta. And actually, Uhuru Kenyatta just made what is called an executive order when some Kenyans, which we don't know, but you might think you know them, tried to grab that land there. Then they built a museum there, a wonderful one. Kenyans used to spend a lot of money to import these small guns. And there are so many ministers within the government, including this guy who was fired.
How did we get here? How did we get here?
The small gun manufacturing.
We're talking about properties being built. That's what we're talking about. UN guns. I don't know, a museum. I don't know where you're coming with this. I did not talk about no museum. No guns.
You are all over the place.
I don't know where we're going now. I'm lost.
You get your thoughts right. All over.
So
I'm hearing museum land, stolen land, and
Let me help Leo.
If it was PRO Lumumba would have said Leo. Let me say what PRO Lumumba would have said. He would have said that Leo is suffering from lack of focus and particularity.
No. You people just hate Uhuru for no reason.
Anyway, let's proceed.
That sounds like the
I will start. On this one, I want to start with Leo. Let me be on Leo's team now. I have to be on Leo's team.
I love Leo. I love your brother. I love your
This show can never be one-sided. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this show is courtesy of Africa 24, and here the conversation keeps on giving. We have great gentlemen having a great conversation, and asanteni sana kwa kujiunga nami. I see my good friend Atuya Jr. is in the house. Asante sana, my friend, for commenting and also being part of the conversation. Asante sana Caleb Otieno, for being part of the panelists and many who are joining us. Asante sana. The conversation is on live here at Africa 24. Kindly subscribe and be part of this wonderful channel. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are discussing, all this has been brought about by the report by the committee, the Bipartisan Committee. Of course, we in the house here have many, of course, those who ascribe to Azimio, those who ascribe to UDA, and of course, those who ascribe to none of the above. But above all, we must have a conversation, and here we allow you to speak it as it is. Hii show yako, show ambayo tunaifanya jinsi ilivyo. Leo raise points kali, and I agree with him to some point, that ya kwamba some of these things that William Ruto anafanya, see your brainchild yake, they are not his ideas. These are things that were begun by none other than the former president. In any case, even when the king was around, what he showcased was projects that were rather initiated, launched, and even done by the former president. To that point, I agree with him. He's equally raising this other fact that some of the ideas that William Ruto has come up with are yet to bear fruits, or rather, we are yet to see them, including the housing levy, which the matter is still in court. It is yet to be determined and to really find out where the money goes to. But meanwhile, the projects are continuing, right? That hapo ndio tumefika, in case you're just joining us, but this conversation is interesting. Conversation, Kali. Now, Kenya Rebel, you wanted to agree with Leo. What did you have to say? Because I see everyone is almost going for the jugular, and Leo is almost becoming drained.
Leo is a strong man, and I commend you to be in the show. Mr. Leo is very strong because not many people who can handle all these gentlemen. This guy is tough.
Yeah, he has a very strong jugular. Yes, one Kenya Rebel.
I just wanted to make it clear. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make it clear. When I said Uhuru Kenyatta was the worst president, I meant this guy does not respect the Constitution. He never respected the law. And that's why I jumped into Randall's case when I was saying, going back to your country does not require a passport. And somebody posted what the embassy should provide for you in that case, instead of arresting you and throwing you in jail like they did in the case of Randall. So that's why I tied it in with that. Now, Ruto, so far, most of the charges we are charging him with is failure in campaign promises. Yes, he tried that, appointing people more than, I think, 24 as per the Constitution, but the court actually corrected him, okay? Yes, there's still cases of corruption, yes, of that, but to the extent in which Uhuru Kenyatta was breaking the law, haijafika yo kiwango. That's why I'm saying he's the worst president. Even in Moi days, Moi will take you to court. Hata kama ungekuwa he will take you to court, okay? Uhuru was doing something that, just like Jeff Mburu said, somebody who voted for him is saying that this guy was arrogant and didn't care. He was ruling like a king. So that's what I'm trying to say, Leo. But again, Leo ni mtu azimio damu. There's no outer, you can't outer change. He will defend Azimio as mpaka death, which is fine. That's the beauty of it. It actually sparks a good debate here. So in that case, Leo, you can keep it up. And lastly, again, like somebody posted here, even if those Leo, you mentioned those things, that projects that Uhuru started. Somebody made a good point in the comment section, and I wanted to say the same thing. Whether Uhuru alizianza zikakwama, Ruto is continuing it. Both of them, they are not using their personal money, so you can't say that this is Ruto's program, whatever. These are policies, but they're using our taxpayers' money. So as long as, like Randall said, as long as ana continue na hizo ninio, there's nothing wrong with that. What's there to complain? He's doing something. It's in the process. And that's all I have to say on that.
Yeah. You see, the most unfortunate thing, especially on what is going on right now, is that, yes, now we have the report, the bipartisan report, which has come out. And all along, Baba has been quiet. And the best thing those who support Baba, they would be telling him, is that there are people who were crippled. Some of them don't have legs. Others, their lips are crushed. Others are dead. There are businesses which were vandalized by demonstrators. We would have wanted to hear Baba tell the government, yes, I misled these people to go and fight for me. And these people made all these atrocities. Businesses were collapsed, were destroyed. We want to hear these people being compensated. I don't know how real you feel, because there are people we saw even on the media who were in the hospital in critical condition out of Maandamano, out of the brutality of the police. And the person who is supposed to be advocating for those people to be compensated by the government because the fact that they went for Maandamano, what happened to them, I don't agree 100% that was supposed to happen to those innocent people. It is the work of Baba, because he is the one who called these people to go on the street, to go fight with the police. He is the one who was telling people that Ruto is an illegitimate president and we are going to kick him out of the state house. He is the one who initiated the song of Ruto must go, and people believed him. Out of that, they were in fire to remove the president from office. And even in the media here, I don't hear the Azimio supporters saying there are people who are suffering even now. There are women who lost their children. Nobody is talking about them. So after Baba has occupied that office, that big office, he will forget about them, just like he did in 2007. He never followed up. That is like, just like he did in 2013. You know, he never followed up. So,
you need to
Leo,
draw some statements there. Just before
yes, tell me which, and I will. If you convince me, I will gladly do that.
You're using some English words. I understand people maybe called for some demonstrations. I don't remember, unless you'll play for us, in any statement when somebody was saying that, okay, we are calling for demonstrations, people go and fight with police. People go and do this. And that is why when I started, if you listen to me, I said, only those people like you and somebody who was seated on the sofa set watching the demonstrations on the television are the ones who until today believe that people went to demonstrate because they did not have food, or that people went to demonstrate because of the price of hunger. Those people who went to demonstrate, if you meet them, the ones who are on the street,
Pontifex and Leo. Just a minute. You're forgetting one person here. I mean, you've gone 1 hour. There's this guy called Caleb. Yeah. Can you give him time? Because you guys are veteran here in arguments. Let us get a different opinion about other things. Randall, please let somebody new tell us something different. Caleb. Karibu Afrique. Caleb, can you hear me? No, he seems not to be ready. Let's go on.
So I was saying this, I started by saying, if you meet anybody who was in the street and ask them, why are you on the street? They'll tell you, I'm on the street because I'm not satisfied with the results. And if there is a demonstration that Raila called and he led, in those demonstrations that he called and he led, nobody lost life, no shop was vandalized. But the cases whereby people are losing lives, Raila wasn't present. I know Janeko wants to respond. Raila wasn't there physically. The ones that he had, we can mention them and the venues, how it started and how it ended. The ones that turned violent, he wasn't there physically. He and any of his supporter or his close friend never told people, hey, go and fight with the police. It is the police. I don't know. I don't want to say what happened. People met maybe some brutality in different ways. I don't know the police, how they started fighting people, preventing people from demonstrating. But whenever people demonstrated and Raila was present and maybe it was organized, it turned out to be peaceful. People finished walking, and all those stories, whether they were true or not true, they excited themselves and went home and relaxed. And anybody who demonstrated, I was demonstrating, I myself, I participated, I even sponsored some people demonstrate. And they will tell you they were not demonstrating because hunger was, I don't know how much. These people were eating before going for the demonstration. They were specifically demonstrating on political reasons. So what we need to look at, somebody like me, when I'll be looking at this recommendation, I'm going to look at it in this manner. Have these political quests been fulfilled? And do they meet the threshold that can make us now stop demonstrating? Like if you tell us that we are creating the position of the leader of opposition, how powerful is this position? How influential is this position? How is this position going to take care of the 7 million people who felt that they won but they did not win? Because the other 7 million people can feel the power by being maybe appointed and something like that. Then if you're giving us this position of the leader of opposition, is it going to have some influence? Is it going to have some monetary value? Is it going to have some influence that I can say Pontifex supported me, then now I can be able to hold his hand and make him a general? We talk of this handshake government. It was not officially put that Raila and Uhuru are having a government, but there were some influences. We saw Mboga being appointed somewhere. We saw Ogona being appointed somewhere. And we saw some few individuals like Odoyo Widi, their contracts being renewed at the Lake Basin. So those are kind of the political things that we look at. But if you look at it in the eye of where when a supporter too, then politics too much for you. Politics too much for you. People have been dying in politics ever since politics started.
All right,
It's
Leo,
been happening even in the Bible.
Very briefly, Leo, number one, there's a video recording of Raila actually praising the young folks that were out there mooring that highway, okay, in NTV. All you have to do is find it on YouTube. Number two, I want to say
praising and telling you to moor are two different things, my friend.
That's destroying property, okay?
If I praise you for winning a match, is this
Leo?
That's a criminal offense.
Right, thank you.
Damaging your property.
Leo, you are impossible. Anyway, number two, Leo, I would like to hear your view as an Azimio strongman. What's your view on this, Ninio, in this recommendation by Ichungwa and Kalonzo? Do you like it? Do you approve it? Are you happy with it, given that you went to Maandamano?
I believe that the recommendation doesn't meet the threshold. They've really, if they've settled for that, then they've settled for something low. I would expect them to settle for something tangible. Forget about these things of cost of living. Those are kind of nonsense. Those ones were just sugarcoating to net. You know, the Maandamano was political, but there are people like Jeff who did not believe in the political part of it, who will not come out to go and fight that, oh, tulichagua Raila na amenyang'anywa.
Cost of living is nonsense.
To bring
now?
them on board, a marketing strategy, ilibidi tuende tudandia ile cost of living so that zile tunaendea hii.
Ilibidi muende muue watu kadhaa. Ilibidi muende watu kadhaa wakufe ili rais aseme ya kwamba hawa watu sio vizuri waendelee kufa. And that was the strategy. That was the strategy. We even had Babu Wino saying, Sikiza bwana, that is an evil strategy because you have been using the word evil. If there is something evil, is when you put your people on the line to go and die, to go and suffer, so that then you can be called on the table and be told to calm down. That is very evil. And we even had some of your leaders. We had some of the Azimio leaders saying, Dio Baba, wacha nimalize, utaki nimalize. Let me finish what I'm saying. Dio nikasikia, I heard some of the leaders from your team saying, ati Dio Baba awe, lazima wa Kenya kadhaa wafe. I mean, that's you can imagine that for him to become something, some people must die. And that is exactly what happened. Unfortunate.
I'll confirm it to you. Jeff,
Leo, please, I don't want to hear people dying, and don't talk on the channel about people dying. I don't want nobody dying, please, please. Okay. If you think it's all right for people to die, over there it's offensive already. You're being offensive already to the people on the channel and watching. You want people to die.
All right. Listen,
listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. Your mother, your father, your family, your next door neighbor. Don't wish death on nobody, please, and don't try and explain
I'm
it
not
to
wishing
me.
anybody death.
Oh, Jeff.
I know.
Thank you very much. Speak of something else, but don't talk about killing people. Please.
We celebrate Jesus Christ for dying on the cross. Then, if somebody has given himself to die for Raila to become the president, why can't we celebrate them? Really?
No, we don't. We moan. We mourn for our leaders. We mourn for our ancestors. Listen.
The killing of the firstborn Egyptians for Israelites to be saved. Why don't we celebrate?
We do not celebrate. We mourn.
Oh my God, Leo,
this difference.
You've gone bonkers. You want to say that those people who are martyrs for Raila Odinga, they died and we should celebrate them because Raila told them to go out there and they died, and that we should celebrate them. Are you trying to say that?
We celebrate the Mau Mau. We celebrate the blood of Mau Mau for giving us independence. They selflessly gave their life.
No, we don't. Please stop it. Stop digging a hole for yourself. We mourn for our ancestors. We mourn for those that fight for independence. We mourn for those that fought for equal rights, of civil rights, for black rights, for all rights. Please, nobody celebrates Martin Kuma death, Kwame Nkrumah death. Nobody celebrates the death of any leader, for that matter. We mourn and we remember how hurtful it was for them to sacrifice themselves, to put themselves in danger. They went to jail. They got whipped. They got beaten. For you to talk how you celebrate their death? Please don't. Let's start another subject. Jake, Melendo, please.
I withdraw the statement. But we need to condemn the perpetrators. We need to condemn the government. There were so many ways of preventing them from dying. It is the responsibility of the government. But when we want to, I've never heard Raila telling people to go and it happened. So we need to blame the government. Had the government or the police just stopped and looked at those people walk around, they would have gone home safely. It has happened, and it is possible. It's possible. So I don't agree totally with that recommendation. There are some things that are not quite good, though there are some things that they've scored politically.
I agree with you.
But some of the recommendations, they're really not good. It is taking us back to the BBI that we rejected.
Leo, I agree with you when I say that we've had protests that have been peaceful, where even police and security have taken part. They even cut off roads to let people walk peacefully and demonstrate. But we have thuggish also behavior that has taken place. And we must know the difference between peaceful protests. It happens all over the world. It's not Kenya alone. We had it in France. We have it here in England. We had against the Palestinian and the Israel, the Israel. We have the Russia versus Ukraine, Kenya, Raila Odinga. Listen, but nobody needs to die, and everybody's crying. Can we stop killing? Can we stop killing each other? For those that are crying for death, please.
I think
I wanted to say this.
Maximum wants to say something.
I think Caleb is on. He can.
All right.
I think Maximus, you can talk now.
I wanted a piece of Leo, but he ran. Oh, he's back. Leo, show your face. Anyway, Leo. Leo, you're a punching bag, But anyway, like I say, Leo, you're one of my favorite panelists, so don't feel bad. I just wanted to say this. Yes, Raila did not explicitly say that, okay, and then hapo mtupe mawe na mchape watu. He can't say that, of course. But he knows that every time there's a Maandamano, there's a possibility of police clashing with his supporters. Okay? I'm not saying he's responsible for, those people who are throwing stones or whatever, but this is something that happens. And every time he calls for a Maandamano, this happens, okay? So what I was saying is this, like Jeff Mburu will say that I've been saying in this channel before, that in these talks, okay, the least, mlisema ati mnataka cost of living to go down. And that the number one thing of the agenda should be, how can we compensate the families of those who lost their lives in this Maandamano, okay? The people who are businesses were destroyed, because some people, they tried to open Duke and it was vandalized and all that. Why can't we do that? Especially these are your supporters. Why can't you do that for them at least? Umesema vizuri ati some of them sacrificed their lives, to put themselves out there to be shot or whatever. Why can't they be compensated? If I was Raila Odinga, I would say, hey, listen, my supporters were killed. Can they get some compensation for that? He never called for that. Okay, so as far as to me personally, from what I've heard on this report, I reject it wholeheartedly. Everything. I don't care about it. This thing is all illegal. It should have not been. We should not even have this discussion. Like I say, if there's any discussion that was supposed to be held, it could have been done at the parliament. That's the legal body, legal arm of government that should be taking care of this thing. That's why I'm saying this thing will probably end up in the courts if the legislative body passes it, and it will be dropped again because it is not a people initiated recommendation. This came from 2 party leaders or whatever the case is. So it's not, it doesn't meet the threshold to become a referendum, to be brought for a referendum. So we can change the constitution. And that's my take on that.
Well, the show has been very hot. Leo, I think you've been put in a furnace. Today, I really sympathize with you, particularly because the issues you try to raise in the beginning or to differ with the development. Development is development, just as Randall put it. So let us not politicize a lot of things. Sometimes we get up into this web of politicizing everything that we see politicians doing, especially if you are on the other side of the aisle. You look at the issue of housing. This is a good thing in developed world. This is something that they deal with on a daily basis. They want to see affordable housing in each and every citizen. If you go to the UK, the citizen, if you are born a citizen, at the age of 16, you only pay about 12 pounds, 12 pounds in housing. So the government has got the responsibility to give you affordable housing. So we are getting there. And, we might not agree with it in the beginning, but this is a step in the right direction. This is a step in the right direction. Future leaders will polish it. Future leaders, me and you and Randall will polish it, but it is a step in the right direction. Affordable housing is a must. It's a must. No matter if we are subjected to pay for it, we will pay for it. I remember the houses that you see in Bahati or the houses that you see in California, in Nairobi. The California housing units were started by one Tom Boyer. Tom Boyer left a legacy. That legacy still stands today. That was affordable housing started by Tom Boyer. And did the people benefit? Yes, the people benefited. Now look at the housing in Umoja and in Buruburu. Those were housing started by the government. They were for civil servants. They were paying peanuts, but of course there were doubting Thomases like you and me who didn't want to, their 200 shillings to be cut from their salaries in the 70s because it was too much. But they were being begged. Can you imagine a house in Buruburu was going for 80 shillings, 80 Kenyan shillings, and your father and my father refused to buy those houses or to refuse those deductions because it was voluntary. But the government then were really begging them that you get these houses. But you know what they said? Nairobi is a place of work. We live in the village. We cannot buy those houses. We live in the village. This is only a place where we came to work. So we are not going to buy those houses. Today, the same father, there was the same grandfather who refused to buy a house in Umoja is renting one from maybe the Kikuyu community, wale walijanjaruka mapema wakanunua hizo nyumba. You are now being subjected to rent. So sometimes it is ignorance, and we need to really work so hard and make sure that we are not that ignorant and jump into each and every project that the government is trying to implement. This issue of housing has been really, really politicized, but in the end, I am advising you, don't listen to the politicians. There's no house that comes as cheap as 2,000 Kenyan shillings. Yeah, as cheap as 2,000 Kenyan shillings. At the end of the day, you will be the beneficiary. And if you have not enrolled in the program of getting affordable housing, then it's high time you go for it. So those are some of the things that we need to be telling our people. Yeah, because sometimes young people come here, they don't know the history of housing in our country. They don't know how Buruburu housing scheme came by. They don't know how Umoja housing came by. Maybe Pen Nyangaka would tell you how his father or himself refused to, as a civil servant, refused that his money be deducted to acquire a house in Buruburu, because he knew that his rural home is the only place that he can reside in. Our fathers refused, but today we the sons are coming to rent the same houses that our father had refused to buy for 80 Kenyan shillings or 200. Umoja, Jericho, and Buruburu, and Bahati Estate, and California. California was started by Tom Mboga, and today it's a legacy. So whatever Ruto is doing is for prosperity, for the young generation later on to say that there were leaders who had thought of affordable housing then. So for us, young people who are coming up, we are just going to polish the government scheme. Where they went wrong, we try and rectify where they went wrong. But saying that housing is not a need, that is just being ignorant and being selfish. Ben, do you have something to say? Before Ben comes in, Caleb, are you able to talk now? Caleb Otieno. No, I think you're still having issues with your mic. I told you to log out and come back with a different mic. Ben, can you say something?
Yes, Mzalendo. Habari ya Johnny. Hello, unasikia? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, Ben. We can hear you clearly.
Okay. Yeah, your housing, it's not even a debate. All those Asian countries that we admire went through the same situation, went through the taxation and improved on it. And some of us were very proud when we saw President Ruto going to a building site. I think it was in Umoja, somewhere in Nairobi. And he was asking the people, how much men do you need to be an electrician and this and that. And that was great. So, Mzalendo, there is no debate there. It is nothing. Where some of us grew up here in America, but my uncles bought the houses in Buruburu and all that. And it was housing schemes. You know, Mr. Tomboya came, and Tomboya is the one who really built the KCC. Na Minister yake alikuwa Kibaki. So there are developments that we have copied from somewhere else that have really helped our country to be where we are. So that debate kama hii ni mzuri sana. Na vile nilikuwa nimeandika kitambo, I saw somewhere where they are spending 1 billion Kenya shillings to educate people on diabetes. Na hiyo ni video, kama huyo Jeksha angekuwa hapo, ni videos ambao, you know, they are teaching them in high-end colleges, Harvard, you know, you name it. And they are showing how they can reverse issues like diabetes. Wakati mzungu alikuja kwetu, alikuwa anakula saa 7 nini. Now when we started copying the same thing, unaenda huko nyumbani unapata watu wanatoka kazi, wanaenda kunywa pombe, wanatoka kazi, wanaenda kunywa, you know, chai yao na mandazi. And those are the causes of the diseases that we have inherited so far. So that I was going to challenge Jakes kwa sababu hiyo technology nyinyi ndio mnajua, tungewapatia hiyo videos namna gani, alafu people would be taught the proper way of chasing away diseases like your diabetes and all that stuff. Hiyo tu ndio nilikuwa nataka kusema, lakini I mean the present government inafanya hile yote ambayo tulikuwa tunataka. Hiyo mazungumzo ya Bomas is just useless because vile revolutionary alikuwa amesema kitambo, we have just elected a parliament which is legally supposed to iron out all those differences. Na hii ingine ni ya nini? These are vile tumesema at the cost of showing our age, these are the differences, these are the issues that the leader of the opposition has done every time he lost the election. Na hiyo the last one, the last victim was Uhuru Kenyatta, who went entertained him, but he paid him with that money that they set away from, some of us have ideas that Raila Odinga got some of that money, so he kept quiet from arguing with Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta, what the ODM yote walikuwa wanamchukia when he was not talking with Raila Odinga. But when he talked to Raila Odinga, it was the best thing ever since the sliced bread. So, mzalendo, tuendelee tu kuzungumza na kuambiana ukweli na everything will be all right. Asante sana mzalendo.
Thank you, Sana Ben. You know, we love your wisdom as an elder in this channel. You keep us, keep informing us of what we need to do. And your wisdom, you've handed over so many years. You know too much because for us, we will be talking about what we know. But for the young people who come into this channel, probably they are at 30. They have not learned so much about the history of our country and where we are going. But above all, there is something called exposure. Exposure helps you a lot. If you are talking from a point of ignorance, then there is something called exposure. Exposure really helps you to understand where the world is moving to, where technology is moving, why industrialization is important to us. So for us who live abroad, there is some experiences that we have. Randall will tell you, I don't know where he is residing in, but he will tell you about the effectiveness of government overseas. Those are some of the shockers we get when we come to Europe or we travel to America. We see how these people are doing their thing. And above all, don't be cheated that we have got a constitution that was adopted by us. Some of these things are just borrowed. They borrowed from the American, largely borrowed from American constitution. Like the Kenyan constitution was heavily borrowed. There is nothing that was original apart from a few wordings that they changed here and there. But it was heavily borrowed. But it is high time. It is high time. And this is probably a debate for another day, that the constitution of Kenya needs to be revised. We need to change a few things. And that's why they're teaching, they're having these bipartisan talks, because they realize, the political class realize that it doesn't work for them. But we citizens, who is representing us, that is why we have this kind of shows, so that we kind of educate each other and try to represent our views. There are politicians out there who will listen to this show. Randall, where you come from, how is the housing? Please tell us how is the housing scheme coming from, and tell us where you are.
Mzalendo vile umesema, experience and exposure. Experience and exposure are very, 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 very important. Now you ukienda through that, you learn something. Personally, I've traveled all over the world as airline staff. Lakini kulikuwa wakati mmoja nilikuwa nataka kwenda Kenya. Kufika London, wakasema hiyo ndege inaenda Nairobi iko full, landing something anyway. Nikaenda Uganda. I mean, ya Uganda walikuwa wamesoma karatasi, wanasema ukiwa Mkenya lazima uwe na hii na hii na hii, alafu uende Uganda. And would like there was a Ugandan working for that, and he said no, there is no Kenyan.
Hey, Randall, what is your take on this particular issue?
Yes, Mzalendo. I don't like to interrupt when other people are talking. If I do, it means maybe I've been offended by something they're saying, or I wish them to.
No, it's okay.
Because I think some people, I won't take them wrong, but I just say maybe it's sometimes we use words in certain ways, but we don't understand. Especially English is not our language, especially Black people, African in general. That's what a Nigerian said to me. I said to him, he said, you're envious of me. And I said, why are you envious? Do you know envious is a bad thing? To be envious of someone. To be inspired or to look up to someone is understandable, or to be happy for someone. But to be envious, envy is like you're jealous. And he said to me, forgive me, my brother. I did not mean that. You know, this is not my first language. I said, I know. But next time, when you say things, well, someone was saying something about death, and it's between death and mourning, death, celebration. So that kind of got me off a bit. Here in the UK, there's people that are homeless, and there's people that are poor. There's people that can't afford housing. There's people that can't even not afford food. And the system itself is built in a way that is constructed, that it constructs itself in a way to eradicate those things. So Europe works towards, making poverty disappear, which is interesting for me. So, but I've worked in those fields in terms of charity, which I know there's people that do that, which I really appreciate, like Brother Benson, if he's watching the show, because I know he's one mostly on this platform. You do know Brother Benson, don't you?
And
I can't hear you.
I know Ben. I know him.
Yes.
I know him. Yeah. Ben in New York. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's doing some projects. Yeah, he's doing some projects. So I really inspired by those people, and those things even happen here as well. So they got places like, if you don't have food in your house, you don't have a job, you have no money or formal income, they have a place called Food Bank. A bank where they have not money but food. You just walk in there and you say you don't have money and you're not getting any money, they can give you food. They give you like tin food, food in bags, food you can mix up. They give you whatever you need, like powder milk or tea bags, just simple things like water, sugar, milk, bread, rice, beans. So you can make something for like that week. And these banks, people contribute their food. So if I have food in my cupboard, instead of throwing it away, I put it in a bag and I go give it to the food bank. Then someone who has no food will come to that place, but he has to have documents from the government saying this man needs help or this woman needs help. So there's people that give stuff they don't use. If you have too many bananas on your field, give it a poor. If you have too many plantain, if you have too many potatoes, you sowed some are going to go bad, some you throw away, some you give. I think in a village they do that when you have too much matoke, So over here they kind of give that. They give vouchers, food vouchers. You have food banks in UK, then McDonald's. Okay, so okay, so on a serious point. So yeah, so even in America, there's more food banking.
A bit.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. You decided to make that a joke, but
No, but I do see you take the cue.
one.
Yeah, but besides all the negativities, I know we do have a laugh here and there, but you know, starvation I don't think is a laughing matter. I think like the basics thing is like food, which is number one, water, which I think in Swahili say maji ni moyo. You know, water is life.
Maji ni uhai.
Uhai is life. Yeah.
Maji ni uhai.
And we say water is life. So without water, everything dies. Everything, fish, sea, everything, plantation, everything dies. So water is important. Then what comes with water is food. Second thing is important. Then shelter. Three basic things in all government officials and people should do is have these on the front line. Make sure people have eaten, people have got water, and people have somewhere to shelter. Be a shack, be a small room, it doesn't matter. But tomorrow you can wake up, full belly, quench your thirst, and go out there and try and make a better world for yourself and your surroundings. So as you said earlier about Tom Mboya, I read Tom Mboya biography. It's unfortunate I don't have it. I love that book. I got in Kenya and I read it. And you said something. I read where he talked about when he moved to Nairobi, when he used to go to university, and he rented this little room. This is a poor guy, you know. And it's interesting. This guy is, to me, he's a big hero to me. But his story is so amazing to me. So when he's saying this, that he rented a room and he went somewhere, then he came back, then his whole house was robbed. There was nothing in that room. Then he talked about his first job, which was he was a hygiene officer. And he had to go to people's houses to do something to do with their hygienes. And some of the Wazungu didn't like it. He was the first black man to do these kind of jobs. So it was very inspiring. So for him to build that kind of place, I didn't even know what you just mentioned today. What was it again? Sorry?
Tom Mboya, California.
California,
yes. Estate. You know California Estate? Yeah.
No, I didn't
know. Yeah. So those are some of you know, it's good to know who Tom Mboya was, and I appreciate that you read some of his history. These are some of the people who really inspire me in person. Tom Mboya, just apart from building the first housing scheme for Kenyans, that is California Estate in Nairobi, it still stands today. That one he did when he was a minister in government. Now, when he also, before becoming, when he was in government, he used to airlift people to the US. Without Tom Mboya, we would not have Barack Obama as the president, because Tom Mboya lifted the father, Hussein, to the US to study in the US. Then they got married to a white, and there, you know, Barack Obama was born in Hawaii. So some of these are sensational stories that are never talked about. This is our true African hero. These are some of the people who really inspire me, and so many other scholars that Tom Mboya managed to bring to Europe for further studies. So it's not celebrated a lot, but we need to dedicate our time one of these fine days and celebrate Tom Mboya as one of the heroes of the Republic of Kenya. Unfortunately, is one of the best presidents Kenya never got to have. If he had been president, we would have been way, way ahead of so many countries.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I hear you. I mean, these are the things we need to learn from. We need to learn from the past. And again, for me, for the death of Tom Mboya is not a celebration, is a mourning, because we lost somebody. As you just said, we just lost somebody. So that is something you'll be sad about. You know, we might play things up like in terms of in remembrance. We might show we're not celebrating his death. We're just showing remembrance of this person and his greatness, and we mourn. over the person. So there's a different people understanding. Why do you celebrate Kwame Nkrumah? Why do you celebrate Tom Mboya? He died. No, we mourn. We mourn when we think about these people. Yeah. So we know they were worth this planet, but the planet thought otherwise, or the universe maybe preferred the person more to us. So they took the person away from us. So I see it that way. But these are things that I take interest in.
What I like, Randall, what you brought up is the life in the UK. And sometimes it is important that we share our experience. You share your experiences with compared to what is in Kenya. I don't know how long you lived in Kenya, but I believe you have got some roots in Kenya, and you see a lot of politics and a lot of bad governance happening in our country. When you stay abroad, when you live abroad, it comes with a cautious, with a cautious that this is what these other people do that we are not doing. Coping is not bad. Coping is not bad.
Yeah, not to be rude, saying that, but I don't think it's because of being in the West, because I'm inspired by people who are in Africa. Julius Malema, that guy is on fire for me, and he's in Africa.
No way.
He was in Europe.
We'll differ with that. I mean,
Julius Malema, I listen to that guy every time. Pierre Lumumba, Professor Lumumba, his lecture is just like, wow, mind-blowing. That's the kind of lecture I would like in my university, in my forum. So these are the people I listen to. So if you know these are the kind of people I listen to and books I read, you got to understand where I'm coming from. And I'm in Europe. So I can tell you about European inspiration as well, which I've had, and American as well, and Jamaica.
I want you to listen. I want you to listen to this, and if it is anywhere close to Malema.
From Mr. de Klerk, who was disciplined when 8 million of taxpayers' money was given to Inkatha Freedom Party? That was in July 1991. Who was disciplined? These vague statements are counterproductive because they lead to the conclusion that Mr. de Klerk is less than frank in making important statements on national issues. But I want to say that various points of view have been expressed here. I wanted to assure you that on the 27th of April, you will make your choice. And I don't doubt what it is going to be.
Okay.
That was Mandela on his debate stage with de Klerk on the eve of the election. On the eve of the election, before he was elected president of South Africa, and when you put it's called
Julius Malema.
Julius Malema on the same scale with Mandela. I mean, it is like day and night. I don't think Malema represents any view that Mandela represents. In fact, I think Malema says Mandela was a sellout. He sold the South African people. You need to look at his story so well. So Malema is a populist.
When you say that, when you say that, I'm not a Mandela fan. I'll be honest, I'm not a Mandela fan. I'm Winnie Mandela fan. So understand what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the wife.
I know. Any Malema fan would be a Winnie Mandela fan.
Before I met Julius Malema, I read the book of the biography of Winnie Mandela and the whole history of Winnie Mandela. By the time I put that book down, it made me look at Mandela in a different light.
Exactly. I know where you're coming from. I know where you're
Thank
coming
you.
from.
Don't read the cover. Read the book. Read the book. Yeah. So
No,
I don't listen and run with it.
I have also equally learned about Winnie Mandela's life when Mandela was in prison, and then I realized that again the good reason why Mandela had to divorce Winnie at some point, and he was he had some good counsel with himself that this is not the right person that I need to be with. Now, if you look at, again, Winnie's legacy and Winnie's political rise and the deaths that happened in